Harry Potter and the Sorcerer Stone, Chapter 17, The Man with Two Faces. After a good night's sleep, Harry felt nearly back to normal. I want to go to the feast, he told Madame Pomfrey as she straightened his many candy boxes. I can't I? Professor Dumbledore says you have to be allowed to go, she said sniffly, as though, in her opinion, Professor Dumbledore didn't realize how risky a feast it could be. And you have another visitor? Oh, good, said Harry. Who is it? Hagrid sidled through the door as he spoke. As usual, when he was indoor, Hagrid looked too big to be allowed. He sat down next to Harry, took one look at him, and burst into tears. It's all my ruddy fault, he sobbed, his face in his hand. I told Evil to get how to get past the Fluffy. I told him it was the only thing I didn't know, and I told him you could have died. After a dragon egg, I'll never drink again. I should be chucked out and made her live as a mugger. Hagrid, said Harry, shocked to see Hagrid shaking with grief and remorse. Great tears leaking down into his beard. Hagrid, he'd have found out somehow. This is Baltimore we're talking about. He'd have found out even if you hadn't told him. You could have died, sobbed Hagrid, and don't say their name. Baltimore, Harry bellowed, and Hagrid was so shocked he stopped crying. I met him, and I'm calling him by his name. Please cheer up, Hagrid. We saved the stone. It's gone. He can't use it. Have a chocolate frog. I've got lots. Hagrid wiped his nose on the back of his hand and said, that reminds me, I got you a present. It's not a stuffed sandwich, is it? Said Harry anxiously. And at last, Hagrid gave a weak chuckle. Dumbledore gave me the day off yesterday to fix it. Of course, he should have sacked me instead. Anyway, it got you this. It seemed to be a handsome, leather-covered book. Harry opened it curiously. It was full of wizards, the photographs smiling and waving at him. From every page were his mother and father. Sent out to all your parents, all the school friends, asking for a photo. Knew you didn't have any. Did you like it? Harry couldn't speak, but Hagrid understood. Harry made his way down to the end of the feast alone that night. He had been held up by Madame Pomfrey, fussing about it, insisting on giving him one last checkup. So the great hall was already full, was decked out in the Slytherin colors of green and silver to celebrate Slytherin's winning the House Cup for the 7th year in a row. A huge banner showing the Slytherin serpent covered the wall behind the high table. When Harry walked in, there was a sudden hush, and then everybody started talking loudly at once. He slipped into a seat between Ron and Hermione at the Gryffindor table, and tried to ignore the fact that the people were standing up to look at him. Fortunately, Dumbledore arrived moments later. The babble died away. Another year gone, Dumbledore said cheerfully, and I must trouble you with an old man's whizzing waffle before we sink our teeth into a delicious feast. What a year it has been. Hopefully your heads are a little fuller than they were. You have the whole summer ahead to get them nice and empty before next year starts. Now, as I understand it, the House Cup here needs awarding. And the points and dot in fourth place, Gryffindor with 312 points. In third, Hufflepuff with 352, Ravenclaw 426, and Slytherin 472. The storm of cheering and stamping broke out from the Slytherin table. And you could see Draco Malfoy banging his goblet on the table. It was a sickening sight. Yes, well done, Slytherin, said Bumble. However, recent events must be taken into account. The room went very still. The Slytherin smiles faded a little. Said. I have a few last-minute points to dish out. Let me see, yes. First to Mr. Ron Weasley. Ron, when purple in the face, he looked like a reddish with the bad sunburn. For the best play the game of chess Hogwarts has seen in many years. I award the Gryffindor house 50 points. Gryffindor cheers nearly raised, bewitched. The ceiling, the stars overhead seemed to quiver. The Percy could be heard telling the other prefect, "My brother, my youngest brother, got past McGonagall's giant chess set." At last, there was a silence again. Second, to Miss Hermione Granger, for the use of cool logic in the face of fire, I award the Gryffindor house 50 points. Hermione buried her face in her arms. Harry strongly suspected she had burst into the tears. Gryffindors up and down the table were beside themselves. They were 100 points up. The end.